Indian rivers and water resources. Introduction. The drainage of India has evolved and adjusted itself with the evolution of the three physiographic units, the Himalayas, the Peninsular Plateau, and the Indo-Gangetic Plains. On the basis of its origin, the drainage system in India can be broadly divided into two categories, the Himalayan rivers and the peninsular rivers. The Himalayan rivers. The Himalayan rivers belong to the three principal systems, the Indus, the Ganga, and the Brahmaputra. These rivers originate from almost the same region within few kilometers of each other, separated by water divides. The Himalayan rivers are perennial. This is because the rivers are supplied on rainfall as well as the melting snow. The Indus System. The Indus originates in the northern slopes of the Kailash range in Tibet near Lake Manasarovar. The main tributaries of the India are Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Sutlej. It covers Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, and Himachal Pradesh states of India. The Ganga System. The Ganga has twin sources. The main one is the Gangotri Glacier, where it is called the Bhagirathi. The other is the Satopnath Glacier northwest of Badrinath, where it is called the Alaknanda. The two join main Devaprayag to form the Ganga that emerges from the hills of Haridwar. The Ganga is joined by the large number of tributaries. The Brahmaputra System. The Brahmaputra rises from the snout of Chameyukdangdang Glacier of the Kailash range near Manasarovar. It flows eastwards through southern Tibet. It enters in the Great Loop southwest through Arunachal Pradesh in India, first as the Shang and then as the Dehang. Emerging into the Assam Valley, it is joined by two tributaries, the Debang and the Lohit. From here, the river is known as the Brahmaputra. The peninsular rivers. Most of the major peninsular rivers flow from west to east. The Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, Ken, and Son, originating in the northern part of the peninsula, belong to the Ganga river system. The other major river systems of peninsular drainage are the Mahanandi, the Godavari, the Krishna, and the Kaveri. The Godavari is the largest peninsular river. The source of this river in the Triambakam Plateau near Nasik in Maharashtra and discharges its water into the Bay of Bengal. Water use. Water is a resource that becomes available to us as an annual flow. That is, we try to estimate how much water we should be able to use during the year. In order to do this, we need to recall the water cycle and estimate the inflows and outflows during the year. Inflows. For any area, inflow is equal to precipitation plus surface flow plus groundwater flow. Surface flow includes rivers, streams, canals, and other flows on the surface. Groundwater flow is difficult to estimate, but it can be done. Precipitation includes snow, dew, hail, etc. To estimate the precipitation of an area, we can take an average over many years since precipitation varies from year to year. Surface and groundwater flows. Outflows. Evaporation, the turning of water into vapor, takes place all the time in water bodies. Living things also give off water into the atmosphere through their breathing process. This is called transpiration. The total amount of water added to the atmosphere from both evaporation and transpiration is called evapotranspiration. Some amount of water would flow out of the surface through streams. During monsoon months, this surface flow would increase substantially. A portion of the rainfall percolates into the soil and travels to the underground strata and recharges of the aquifers. Some of the underground water becomes part of inflow that eventually appear in streams or rivers. Water reaches the root zone of crops either through rainfall or some process of irrigation. Water used for drinking, cooking, washing, cleaning, and for animals is vital. Planning for the component is needed to increase the availability so that the minimum amount is actually made available to all. Water is required for manufacturing processes. The challenge areas facing industrial use are recycling of water and control of pollution. Water use in Tungabhadra river basin. Tungabhadra, shared by the two southern states of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh, is a tributary of the larger river system Krishna. It originates in the Western Ghats. The Tungabhadra basin has two parts, the upper and middle catchment in Karnataka and the lower portion of the catchment in Andhra Pradesh. The lower portions of the basin in Andhra Pradesh is characterized by the lower rainfall and drought conditions. Some regions depend on rainfall and underground water. Other areas depend on surface flows by canals that carry water from dams built along Tungabhadra. Encroachment of public lands for cultivation is common. Rampant felling of trees and mining activity is resulting in forest degradation. Inflow of groundwater depend on the tree cover in the catchment areas. Inadequate tree cover leads to warm runoff as surface flow without getting a change in recharge the underground system. Moreover, this also causes flash floods. Tungabhadra Dam has gradually lost its water storage capacity for the decades. Conflict between Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh are generally related to what is available for use. Water is a flow resource and its storage or use upstream affects what is available to people downstream. Access to water is a precondition in this farmland area where 80% of the population depending on agriculture for their livelihoods. Cultivation of the semi-arid crops throughout the basins has dramatically altered the water sharing balance. Hence, there is a significant difference between the farmers with access to the land and irrigate water and those without access for a fair use of water for all. A change in cropping pattern would have to be encouraged throughout the basin. During the last 2 decades, there has been an increasing trend in the number of small towns and industrial areas. This had made the competing demands for the more water complex, while increased industrialization and growth of urban areas have improved standards of living for some. The same activities have caused pollution, especially by industrial units. These industries discharge effluents into the river, hence severe pollution of the river system continues. There has been mismatch between keeping pace with development activities on various fronts and providing sanitation and drinking water supply for all sections of the society. But in small towns and rural areas, some say that drinking water and sanitation are basic needs and minimum amount has to be provided irrespective of ability to pay for these. Thus, the socio-economic aspects of very important to water use management, conflicts within communities in a region and across sectors such as use for agriculture, industry or drinking water are common. Apart from this, interstate disputes between Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh arise due to the trans-boundary nature of the river. Rational and equitable use of water. An example, Highway Bazaar was selected under the Adarsh Gram Yojana of Maharashtra government for watershed and all-around development of the village. The soil and water conservation works in Highway Bazaar were implemented on common lands and on private grasslands. Continuous counter trenches were dug on the hill slopes to arrest the erosion of soil, harvest water and encourage growth of grass. A number of water harvesting structures were also built in the village: check dams, percolation tanks and loose boulder structures. Plantations on forest lands and roadside were also a part of the program. When Adarsh Gram Yojana was launched in Maharashtra, there were also some preconditions set on selection of villages. Most important were the four bandis. The four bandis were Kurhan Bandi, ban of felling trees; Charai Bandi, ban of free gazing; Nas Bandi, family planning; and Nasha Bandi, ban on liquor. There are other bans in the village which were added later. Most significant was the ban on borewells for irrigation and growing sugarcane and banana and selling one's land to any outsider. These measures illustrate that issues of long-term sustainability were very much central to the strategy. Even in unirrigated land, the improvement in soil moisture level has helped to increase productivity. Perhaps the most significant development is that increased water availability has made a second crop possible and hence migration elsewhere has reduced. The main thing is that social control over groundwater extraction and use of no bore wells for irrigation, no water intensive crops like sugarcane, water for irrigation should be taken only through dug wells. Because of this, even in years of continuous drought, there was no drinking water shortage. This is mainly because they plan according to the water available. The improvement of the livestock economy has also helped marginal and small farmers significantly. Concentrated efforts have been made to promote Hyper Bazaar's dairy industry as a means to improve the livelihood of all. Water as common pool resource. Over the past few decades, groundwater has become the main source, especially for domestic use and agriculture. This tremendous increase in the use of groundwater has significant impact on water availability and access to it. Current laws on the groundwater use are inappropriate because of the basic link between access to groundwater and land ownership on which these rules are based are flawed. This implies that groundwater is mostly controlled by individuals that own the land. Landowners were not restricted in the amount of water they can take out. Water is a flowing resource, and what is extracted from an individual tube well or well depends on the ground, rock information, the recharge from rainfall or surface water. All these factors are happening over a large area, hence the actions of others in the region will affect this particular well. Today, this is the major source of water for people. When there is so much extraction, it affects others in connected areas. It affects the stock of water that would be available for future generations. Therefore, one cannot allow individual landowners to extract as much as water as they wish from their land. There should be some restrictions. The restrictions will be acceptable if we first dealing the connection between ownership of land and water drawn from the underground system through the tube wells on the land, in what is, for all practical purposes, an unregulated system. There is, for instance, no authority can determine how many wells, hand pumps and other tube wells can be sunk in a given area. Therefore, water should be thought of as a collective pool resource that is meant for all people. Similar to roads, rivers and parks, underground water is also public property. It belongs to all. Regulation is not easy. This is also because for some resources like water, electricity, oil, natural gas, etc., consumption by one person or a sector affects what is available for others. In fact, in a number of states, the answer of falling water tables has been not to address the issues itself. State government have thus often chosen to increase power subsidies to make extraction of every deeper layers of groundwater possible. What is required are laws and rules to recognize that water is a common flowing resource. Drinking water is the first priority as well as a human right, and that Panchayat Raj institutions must have control over the usage of groundwater.
మా వీడియో గనుక మీకు నచ్చినట్లయితే లైక్ చేయండి, షేర్ చేయండి. ఇలాంటి మరిన్ని వీడియోస్ కోసం మా ఛానల్ని సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోవడం మాత్రం మర్చిపోకండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ వాచింగ్.